Welcome to Day 11 on the Trail. We have 4 readings for today from Luke 5, verse 27 through 6:11, Genesis 20, verse 1 through 21:21, the 18th Psalm, and Sirach chapter 11, verse 1 through 12:18. In Luke chapter 6, Jesus enters a synagogue on the Sabbath to teach. However, the Pharisees who were gathered that day were not there to learn from him. A man is there who has a withered hand as well. And the Pharisees are watching to see if Jesus will heal the man on the Sabbath. Again, their intention is not to learn from Jesus, or even to see this man restored to health. Instead, they are looking for a reason to accuse Jesus of violating the Sabbath law. We see this repeatedly in the Gospel. Now, what is especially interesting about this story in Luke 5 is how Jesus chooses to heal the man. Jesus knows that the Pharisees are looking for a reason to accuse him. So Jesus has the man stand up, and he asks the Pharisees, "Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath or to do harm, to save life or destroy it?" So Jesus is revealing their motive, exposing their hidden agenda. Again, they are more interested in discrediting Jesus than seeing a man who is suffering healed. And then Jesus simply asked the man to stretch out his hand. When the man lifted his arm, he was healed. By simply asking this man to stretch out his hand, Jesus not only restores him, but also reveals the motives of the Pharisees. What actual work does Jesus do to heal the man? Well, nothing that would constitute visible work. Jesus only asks the man to lift his arm. We have no record that Jesus even touched him. Now the Pharisees are in a difficult situation. Will they celebrate the man's restoration? Which they should. After all, a man has been healed. But if they do so, they would have to admit that Jesus has authority from God and should be listened to. If they say he violated the Sabbath by healing the man, without even touching him or doing anything to him, they would have to admit that God healed the man on the Sabbath, thereby challenging their traditions surrounding work on the Sabbath. Instead, they say nothing, and filled with rage, discuss among themselves how they might stop Jesus. I would also like to discuss Sirach chapter 11 today, simply because we have a couple of verses here that seem to reflect an all too common practice in our world today. It is amazing that for so many centuries, we still have the same issues. The first is found in verse 7, which reads, "Do not find fault before you investigate. Examine first, and then criticize." I think far too often we look at headlines. What is happening on social media? A 30-second clip, and then make a judgment or get upset before we investigate what has actually happened or explore the full context. Instead, we start criticizing. We get angry, or add our comments to the cacophony of voices shouting at each other with electrons dashing around the world at the speed of light. Then in verse 8, "Do not answer before you listen, and do not interrupt when another is speaking." In many podcasts or news stations, you often find hosts and guests arguing and constantly talking over each other. You have to wonder how anyone can listen to anything, much less understand another's viewpoint, when everyone is speaking at the same time. One person is talking, the other is not really listening. Instead, they jump in with their comment, which is often completely unrelated. There is great wisdom in being a good listener, waiting until someone has finished before speaking, taking a moment to carefully and thoughtfully consider your response, and then honorably and humbly offering that response. We might not be able to control their verbal onslaught, but we can react with wisdom. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, stay on the trail.